This week on Cooking with Kevin, Chef Kevin welcomes guest chef Tom to the show to share his famous grilled salmon and how to fillet it perfectly, removing the bones. And Chef Kevin adds his signature rice pilaf, while Chef Tom shares his fresh garden salad. And welcome yet to another exciting episode of Cooking with Kevin. We're in a special set here at an undisclosed location, but nonetheless, it's going to be a fun time with a guest chef, a new guest chef on this show. His name is Tom, and he's going to show us how to make the perfect salmon, and then I'll make a rice pilaf to go along with it. So let's give a warm welcome to Tom. Hi. How's it going, Tom?
Really good. Really
Welcome
good.
to the show. It's
I'm
great
glad
to have
be here.
you. Yeah.
This is great. I've thought about this. I saw you on TV. It was great. It was fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I said, that looks like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So, and fortunately, we know each other too.
Right. Yeah, my mom went to school with him, so it just seemed right. He shops at Roth's, so I saw him in there, and I've never done salmon, so this is going to be an exciting.
I absolutely love salmon. My
Yeah.
favorite fish of the whole world is salmon. So let's get to it.
Perfect.
All right.
So where should we start?
Well, first thing that we have is that we have. One of the reasons I like salmon is if you buy the whole fish, it's much better deal for the money. If you go and get a fillet that's already been pre-cut for you, $9.99 a pound or higher sometimes. This, a lot of times you can buy the whole fish for $3.99. I always look for them on sale. If they're frozen, and there's multiple stores, Ross is one store, there's multiple ones around the area that have the salmon on sale like that. So anyway, this is a frozen one. I've thawed one out over here just for to give you an idea. You have to take about, roughly, this takes about 8 hours to defrost in the refrigerator. Okay. So it looks like this, but you can keep them frozen like that until you need them. If you have a freezer, you can just use them whenever you need to. Okay. And so then what we're going to do today is fillet them. If you don't know how to fillet them, you just get a knife and can cut it up like that and just make steaks, real simple. But we're going to try to fillet this. It should go out pretty well. So that's what we're going to be doing first.
I'm excited. All right, so where should we start?
Okay, first thing we do is cut this thing open here. And I'm going to cut over here
on the sink. Okay, yeah. So as we saw in one of the past episodes, we learned that wild is better than farmed, and I believe that's what Tom has here. It's going to be more flavorful, just more naturally delicious with all the omega-3s. So I am really excited about this.
All right, not grip too much on there. There we go. There's our fish. Kind of like you see in the stores, Sleepless in Seattle and some of those kind of fish, throwing them around. These are a little smaller. This can feed a family of 4 really easy. So the first thing, you mentioned something about wild. These are wild salmon. They're all caught with a gill net up in Alaska, and they're frozen right in the ship. They're clean, frozen, and they're put right in the freezer. So the first thing we do when we fillet is we're looking to get rid of as many bones as possible. Hopefully all of them, but I don't know if I'm the best filleter. I do this once in a while. There's people at the store that do it every day. So first thing I do is cut off the tail here. Okay. And just go like this. And normally I use that plastic bag to throw things away. I do it over the sink, but for this purpose, let me get this out of the way. Okay. Be back in the freezer later. First thing we do is we want to get rid of the tail. Then we want to cut off this fin here. And I always cut off a little at the end because it's good to have a little freezer burn on it, like right in here. And so
Get those edges cut off.
And then just kind of go. That thing can be a little slippery, so be careful with the way you cut. But you need sharp knife here.
Yeah, cut through that skin.
There we go. Then we got another couple fins here. Let's poke it right in here with a sharp knife. Just like this. Same thing on this side. Yeah, the fish almost all have the same 2 fins on every side except for the very top and the very end.
So if someone was to say forget to get the fins off, like, are they inedible, or
no,
are they just more tough?
They're more tough, and
okay.
As a fillet, it's not my favorite thing in the world to do as a fillet. But there are people that eat fish heads.
Oh.
There's some cooking shows that show people eating the eyes of fish. I'm not there.
Yeah,
I'm not there
yeah.
yet. I don't think I'm going to ever get there.
Yeah, give me the meat, not
so here's how I
not the eyeballs.
Sometimes I'll just put the fish just like this. It makes it a little more stable. Cut the top off like that. And then some people cut this off right away. A lot of times I don't. I'll just use it like this. Now here's the big part to filleting, right here. You want to cut right on the top of this bone.
Okay.
And a lot of times I fillet them when they're not all the way thawed out like this one. They're a little easier to fillet. You don't get as much wobble in the fish when they're partly frozen.
So you're cutting just above that tailbone.
I'm cutting right on the bone.
Okay.
Now I'm going to get this sharper knife. I got that started. Hopefully we don't have to call the ambulance here.
Yeah, be very careful.
It is sharp. It is a sharp knife.
It's a very sharp knife, and so just make sure that you know where your other hand is.
Now I use an old trout knife. Some of the people that do it for a professional have a real long, sharp knife. What you do is, the reason I like this is you just kind of put it in and you can feel, I don't know, see if you can feel, grab the hand, see if you can feel the bone underneath as you cut.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of feel where the bone is as you're cutting that, you know. See that? So that's kind of.
see.
And then once you get to this part, there's some bones, real small bones, and so you want to pull this back up and just go right along the top of the bone like this.
I see. Okay.
See, we're not doing it perfect. I hear a couple bones popping, but it's going to sound gross on TV probably. But that's okay. Then we go like this. And what we try to do is just
Get a clean cut.
There we go.
That looks wonderful.
Then here, you've got some bones left. That happens. So what you do is you get your knife out. Get this out of the way. You just take this like this. And you can just get behind. I always try to grab a piece of it just to raise it up slightly and cut along. I'm cutting along this. I'm trying to cut along the side of the bone so you don't lose too much meat.
Right.
Okay. There you go. There we go here. And we got one down.
Sweet.
There
You
we go.
usually get 2 fillets to a fish.
Yeah, 2 fillets per fish. I'm going to push it right there. Get out of the way. Now we turn the fish over. I always found this is to be the trickier side of filleting. A lot of people think it's the easier side, but once you cut one side, you don't have the same stability as
Right,
you did
it's a little
before.
floppier.
So you do the same thing. I just get started there. Use a smaller knife. Usually I use, I like to use the fish that's still slightly frozen because it cuts a lot easier. And it doesn't have that movement.
Right, it'd have the added stability.
Thank you. Yeah. There we go. I'll turn it this way.
Okay.
And I would like to cut right along that bone.
Is that basically its spine that we're cutting
Yes,
along?
that's
Okay.
exactly what it is. It's the backbone of the fish.
Yeah.
Physiology 101.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times when it's frozen, you can just feel the bone and it just cuts perfectly with it. When it's a little all the way thawed out, it's a little more challenging because it's just the movement.
Right.
And there we go. When in doubt, just cut it off.
There you go.
There you go. Now we turn this over this way. And again, we cut along the bones. We got some bones left over here. So we come right in here. You get right underneath those bones.
Just a soft touch right on the
sometimes
top.
if there's a lefty in the thing, it's easier. This is for right-handed side. This is a little easier. There we go.
Now I noticed these little ones. Do you recommend like pulling those out?
Yeah,
Or?
I have a little pliers that I use. It's for fishing. Actually, for fishing, not the same one I use for fishing. Very similar to little fishing pliers.
Yeah.
There we go. Get this up here. Sometimes I just will pull it off like that. So there we go. There's our second one, and I will pull out these. You just take them, and you can just take them out real easy. One. Actually, don't even need a pliers for this. When they're frozen, you need a pliers a lot more.
Yeah, these guys are just pulling right out.
Yeah. So anyway, now the one thing I do with these fish, and this is a trick I learned from a friend of mine who goes deep sea fishing all the time, is that what he does is he gets just a touch of water in this pan. And then, like that. I should wash my hands before I do this. What I do then is get some sea salt.
Okay.
And what I do is, if you've ever been to the ocean, you try to get about the right salt consistency. So I mix it up like this.
So would you say maybe like a half a cup or maybe a little less?
Less, probably a quarter of a cup.
Quarter of a cup?
Note it's not very much water in there at all.
Okay.
And then you take this side of the fish, oops, and place it just like that.
Right down in.
And you just let that go for 15 minutes, and it brings all the salt water. When the fish freezes, it pulls a lot of things out of it, that quick freeze. So when you let it thaw, put it back in, the cells of the fish will take that salt water back. It'll taste like it just came in.
So this kind of revives it.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, perfect.
Exactly.
Okay, well, while we let it revive for about 15-20 minutes, let's send it to Brenna. What do you have for us, Brenna?
Hey guys, it's me, Brenna. I'm going to talk to you today about wild salmon versus farm-raised salmon. Now, the great thing about farm-raised salmon is that it's just a mass consumption. They usually, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, release them after they've passed that hatchling stage back into the wild to grow and to become a part of that environment that gives the same nutrients. But no surprise here, wild salmon is way better for you. It has higher levels of calcium, potassium, and magnesium, higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids and other oils that are really essential to eating the salmon. Now, great news here too, has lower sodium. I know it's all natural because it's sea salt coming from the sea, but it's still lower, and if we can cut down on sodium, it helps our hearts out. So if you can today, pick up some wild caught salmon here. I prefer the Chinook salmon, so if you can, check it out. Have a good one, guys. Back to you, Kev.
Hi, and welcome back. So the salmon is still soaking, so we are gonna just move on to the rice pilaf. So you ready to learn this?
I'm ready to learn this one.
All right, so this is a very simple pilaf. You can do other rice pilafs like using orzo pasta, fagioli pasta. I'm using couscous in mine, mixed with white rice and some rosemary. The base will be chicken broth. So what I'm doing is I'm prepping some onion here. But while you're doing this, you should have some butter heating up like we've already prepped here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting half a cup of couscous in the pan here. And let me see.
What do you need? Let's stir with?
A spatula of some sort, yeah.
Okay. There you
And
go.
the hotter the butter, the better. And what you'll do is you'll just cook it until it starts becoming golden brown. Once it gets golden brown, then we'll actually add the onion and the garlic. And then once the onions become transparent, mostly transparent and cooked, we're going to put in 2 cups of chicken broth and the rosemary and a little bit of cooking sherry, and then we'll let that cook. So while I'm letting that continue to cook, let's go back to set that.
We'll get a plate here.
Yeah,
Put
perfect.
this thing on there. You go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so we'll want the onion chopped pretty finely. I just did 1 small whole onion. Now I could have done my little trick that I taught you in the last episode of doing this in the blender, but
You got a blender.
yeah, but I didn't think about it being in a guest in this kitchen, so it's fine. I'll do it this way. But remember that that's always an option. You can use the blender to kind of speed it up and give it a good chopping. It doesn't have to be super fine. You want some kind of medium to small chunks, and it will be cooked thoroughly in that butter. Also, during this time, you could prep your green onion. It's going to be used as a garnish at the end, so you won't actually put it in to cook. All right.
It is interesting being in somebody else's kitchen, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that feeling well.
All right, let's check on this guy. Let's maybe turn it up just a little bit. So the couscous, as it actually cooks, it will start having almost kind of like a baked roll or cookie type smell to it. It's a very soft texture too, and I actually prefer it over noodles in my pilaf. That's why I'm using it. So that is taking a little bit longer to cook than I was expecting. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and send it to the cooking trivia. When you come back, we'll finish this out, all right? And welcome back. So see, you can tell the couscous, it's kind of turned golden brown. That is perfect. That's how you want it. So I've since added the onion and I have it cooking. You want it to, like I said, get mostly clear, translucent, which it is just about there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the garlic, Tom.
Oh,
So
add a little garlic, just about that much.
yeah, it's about 1 to 2 cloves worth. Mix that in.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That smells good right away.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right away.
Okay, so the chicken broth next. We're going to put 2 cups in.
We got it.
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, and then at this point, we're ready for the rice.
Okay.
So, and that's again it's a half cup.
Yeah, just move it around a little bit.
Mhm.
Make sure it's not
Yeah.
all in one spot.
Yeah, the rice will expand as it cooks, and so it may not look like a lot, but it'll make a decent amount of rice pilaf here. Okay, and then we're going to put in cooking sherry, approximately about a tablespoon's worth. It's just going to feel like a dash, really.
I'll try that just to make sure. One more?
Yeah, one more.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Got more than that.
Yeah, a little extra little flavor, never hurt. Okay, and then the rosemary. We're going to put in about a half teaspoon of it.
Uh-oh.
So, there we go. There we go. So, yep, go ahead.
Now this is how I do it. Just sprinkle it until you kind of know.
There you
About
go.
a half teaspoon.
Yeah, that looked good. Rosemary is a very strong herb, so it doesn't take a lot to give it a little flavor. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to a boil. And once it reaches a boil, then we'll turn it down to medium-low, cover, and let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes, or until all the moisture has evaporated and the rice is tender. Okay, so
I find that all the time is sometimes you think that there's a certain 25 or 30 minutes, but you look at something, there's still a little liquid in there. It's always good to let that go all the way.
Right, that's the key. Like when I was developing this recipe, it actually cooked a little faster than I thought. It was actually closer to maybe 15 to 17 minutes because the temperature had gotten so hot in the pan, it evaporated that broth so quickly and that tenderized that rice faster than I thought it was going to. But like always, with the rice, you have an option. You can use brown rice, you can use white rice. I used white rice here. It was basically the one that was on sale. So,
well, I know how that goes.
But brown rice, so there are some people that actually prefer brown rice, feeling that it's maybe a little bit healthier. It hasn't been dyed.
That's right.
So, it's your preference.
And sometimes brown rice takes a little longer. Sometimes I found when I do it, a 25-minute white rice might turn into a 30 or 32-minute rice for the brown. It just takes a little longer to get past that kernel and maybe saturate that thing a little longer.
So while this is coming to a boil, tell me about these moose burgers that you've been talking about, or bullwinkle burgers.
I have a friend that's in Alaska. And he's got some special permits, and he gave me a chance to do a bullwinkle burger. And it's moose hamburger, and what you have to do is it's so lean that I have to cut it with actually pork or a hamburger grade that's pretty fatty, because without the moisture, it'll just literally will fall apart.
Really?
It'll fall apart right on the grill. So you have to have something in there. I like pork sausage a little bit better. It tends to hold everything, but not very much. Probably about 1/4 to 1/5 of it is the pork sausage, and 4/5 the moose burger. We're going to do that. If this works out, we can do it.
I would love to have those.
And they're great. They are excellent.
Yeah. Is there any extra seasonings that you have to do, or is it just normal salt, pepper?
Well, some people do salt and pepper, and I have a spice that I absolutely love. I used to live in Arizona, and I call it my cowboy spice. Is cumin powder is what I use in those moose burgers, along with some red pepper, garlic, onions. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Just thinking about it. Put a little cheese on the top. I'm ready. I can smell them. I can taste them. So if we get a chance, we can do that.
That would be awesome.
In fact, we are going to go out to the grill pretty soon and do salmon on the grill today.
Yeah, what we're going to do is I just put the top on here, and we'll let this simmer until all that moisture gets evaporated. So now the salmon, you think is it about ready? Or?
It should be ready. You can leave this in for 15 minutes. I've been known to leave it in and forget about it sometimes for an hour or two. What happens is the cells of the fish only take so much of the salt in. It won't get any salt here, so it only absorbs so many. So if you're off by 10, 15, 20 minutes, you come back, I forgot, it's going to still be okay. You might want to rinse it with some water before you do it, but it should be just fine. So what we're going to do when we go is we're going to put about 1 cup of pellets. You can use wood chips, pellets, hunks of wood. Put it in. I'm using pellets today because they're quick and it's fast. And what's great is we don't have any rain today. We're in Oregon, so no rain. So we're going to take advantage of the weather. We're going to go out on the grill and we're going to give it a little smoke alder chips. Nice. Sometimes I use mesquite, but I normally use mesquite for the beef and the bullwinkle burgers and everything else. But with fish, I like to use alder chips.
So we'll let this simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And when you come back, we'll be at the grill. So let's go ahead and send it to Julie's segment. What do you have for us, Julie?
here to give you some tips on the biggest mistakes that people make when cooking salmon. Salmon actually is not that easy to cook, but it's so good for you, you want to learn these little tips here. Like taking out the fish bones. Some people think, oh, just yank them out. Well, it actually isn't very pretty. So the way that you really should do is take tweezers, and then you carefully pull out the pin bones in the same direction the bones are oriented into the salmon's flesh. And who wants the skin? Just rip it off. Actually, keep the skin on. First of all, it's easier to, you always want to cook on high heat with the fish, the skin side, down first, because it does protect the flesh and it helps heat. It's also easier to turn. Sometimes if you pull the skin off, then the actual salmon meat will stick to the pan, and it adds a lot more flavor. Some people poach it in plain water. You're going to lose a lot of flavor that way. How about spiking the water? Either putting in some, let's say, chicken broth. You could put in wine, some wonderful herbs and seasonings. Make the most of it and cook it until it flakes. Well, the one food editor says here that you'll probably end up with cat food then instead of something elegant that you were planning on having. What you do want it to kind of pull apart, but not flake so it's so dry. And so the tip that I told you about leaving the skin on, leave the skin on, let it on high heat until the skin gets crispy. Then when you flip it, that's when you turn the temperature down to cook the remaining part, and then it should be very moist and just pull apart easily. And those are my tips on salmon cooking. Thanks.
All right, and as you can see, we're now outside on in the patio, gonna grill up the fish. What are we gonna do now, Tom?
What we're doing right now is the first thing we've got is we have some chips going. I only used about a cup of the chips, or the pellets in here to get the smoke. This has been on for about 10 minutes or so, and we're just about ready. You see the smoke starting, so we better get working on this. We're gonna finish up the fish right here. So the first thing I do is I'm just gonna cut some lemons really fast, and we're just gonna put some lemon juice on the top of these. And just kind of squeeze it. If we get a seed or two, nobody's looking, we'll take the seeds off. But we just go like this, and just kind of squeeze all over. There you go. And about one lemon per fillet.
Okay.
I have plenty of lemons. They're not very expensive, and I really like what it does to it. The next thing we do is we get some ground pepper, and we're just going to put some coarse ground pepper all over this. Normally I do it inside, but for our filming today, it's going to be it's kind of fun, and it's not too breezy yet, right when I say that the wind kicks up. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some dill weed on the top of this. And it's to your taste. I happen to like coarse pepper, so it should be, you can use, it's to taste.
Could you do finely ground pepper too?
Either one. I just like the coarsely ground. And the last thing I have is dill weed. And so I use this and I just sprinkle the dill weed on. I can cover the fish, again, to taste. I like dill weed. But salmon is the primary flavor of all this. Then what we do, good. Wow, look at the chips. Chips look like they're going just fine. Perfect. So what we do is we take a fillet like this, and we just put it on this foil, which I put on the top grill.
And just put the other one up there? Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, excellent. There we go.
Look at that.
I learned this technique from a fellow by the name of Steve Morton, who used to have Morton's Bistro. We're going to just put this in for about 10-15 minutes, and if it gets too hot, you can use that so you don't have the same heat. We'll let some of the heat get out of there. And I learned this off heat cooking from a fellow by the name of Steve Morton, he used to have a restaurant in Salem, but it's off heat cooking. So I have a whole idea, if you're a sports fan, for, does anybody ask, when's dinner going to be ready when you're watching a football game? What's the best time to have everything get done? Halftime.
Right.
So when is halftime? If you've ever seen football, you don't know when halftime comes.
No.
So this is a way, when you got everybody, it'll be done at halftime. You can cut the heat down, you can let some heat out, so all of a sudden you get done when all the TV commercials are on at halftime, and then you get a chance
Seems
to eat
like
right at
perfect
halftime.
timing.
Yeah, halftime.
I love it. That's great.
So we'll let this go for about 15 or 20 minutes,
Okay.
and we'll have a great salmon dinner.
Perfect.
A great
Okay.
salmon dinner.
Yeah, so now what we're gonna do is we are gonna send it over to Tim's segment. When you get back, we'll check on the rice, and Tom's gonna show us a vegetable salad that he wants to share with us. Tim, what do you got for us?
Hello fans, welcome to another episode of In the Know with Tim. Today I'll be talking about pilaf, more specifically rice pilaf. Pilaf is a dish with which rice is cooked in a seasoned broth. In some cases, the rice also attains its brown color by being stirred with pieces of cooked onion as well as mixed spices depending on the local cuisine. Also, it may contain fish, certain meats, vegetables, and a pasta. I, for one, have never had pilaf. I'm very excited to try it for the very first time on Kevin's show. The pilaf goes all the way back to ancient Indian texts. It also mentions that rice and meat cooked together, and the word pulao is used to refer as a dish in the ancient Sanskrit works, such as I have no idea. It's a very long, wide word in Indian. So, pilaf is also known to be served to Alexander the Great. Now this tells you how far pilaf goes back. It's royal banquets. It was always the main dish at royal banquets, ballroom gatherings. It's just, especially in the South Asian countries of Asia, China, Japan, it's always served hot. So keep that in mind if you're looking for a nice hot meal with some rice. Try pilaf. So different parts of the world prepare it a lot differently. Persian culinary refers to rice preparation, and numerous are found in their own neighboring languages. Polav, rice cooked in broth while the grains remain separate. And then there's, in Iran, there's 4 different types of pilaf. So, if you want to make sure you study up on your pilaf before you travel the world. In Iran they have shilaf, which is rice that is carefully prepared through the soaking and parboiling, at which the point of water is drained and rice is steamed. There's, all sorts of different kinds. Central Asian, there's different variations, cooked differently, with a lid, non-lid, different types of broths. So just make sure, you try different, you do your research before you go to a Asian themed restaurant and try your pilaf, or make it at home. Make sure you want to make that specific type of pilaf. Some are hot, some are more spicy on the mild side. So it just depends on your taste buds, and I really hope you enjoy this different take on pilaf and open up your view on pilaf itself. And there's so much thing you can do with rice, and pilaf just happens to be one of those interesting, strange Asian cuisines that you don't have very often. As always, hope you enjoyed In the Know with Tim and learned some interesting facts about pilaf today, and have a great rest of your day.
All right, the fish is about 5-10 minutes away, and that looks good.
Perfect, yes. Yeah, this is done. What we're gonna do now is we're just gonna do a quick salt and pepper.
Oh, I've been using the pepper over here. I'll get that for you. Here you go.
Perfect, thank you. It's all to taste. There's no set amount here, so you just do it until you think it's right. Okay, so at this point, I'm now going to serve it so it doesn't cook any further. The longer it cooks, the more mushy it's going to get, and you still want it to have some texture to it. And then what I'll do is I'll grab a fork. Because you want to kind of fluff it up. Like that. And then I'm going to take this green onion and do a little garnish on the top. Alright, and there is a rice pilaf to go along with this salmon.
Oh, looks good. Looks great. I
Okay.
can't wait for that.
And then
Okay.
you're gonna show us almost kind of like a garden salad.
It's a salad that I ran across a fella that was trying to lose some weight, and he said he lost 60 pounds when on this primary salad. And what it is it's apple cider vinegar and it's olive oil base with a little sweetener. He used honey. I'm going to use brown sugar today because it's going to be a lot faster, and the honey is hard as a rock over there.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to show you is there's two different types of apple cider vinegar. I bought a couple for the show here today. One was apple cider vinegar. I don't use this kind at all. I always go after if you're going to ingest it as a food, I always go for raw apple cider vinegar that's non-pasteurized and unfiltered. And it looks like this, it's cloudy. And you really know if there's some junk on the bottom. You shake that, and if that's kind of how you know it's the
good stuff.
the other stuff. This stuff is completely clear. I use this to marinate things in, but this one I use to eat. So what I do is I really simple. It's a 2-to-1 ratio.
Mm-hmm.
It's here we go. It's 2 parts apple cider vinegar and 1 part olive oil. So we go up and we go to, we'll make a cup today. We could do 2 cups, but I want to make sure. So we go up to 1/3 of a cup, 2/3 of a cup right there. And then we get our olive oil. Could you hand me? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we just make that. We go up to 1 cup.
I think it's gonna be delicious.
And then all we do is we put it right in the bowl. There we go. Now, here comes the fun stuff. You could chop up your garlic. I use a garlic press to put the garlic in. This is a good summertime. The bees hate this. They will not bother you with this salad.
It's probably too strong.
It is. They don't have anything to do with it.
That's funny.
So when I make this, I look for something to whisk. You know, I put the small things in first and then the big things later on. So I just go like that. And my whisk is right here. There we go. Next thing that goes in is the salt.
Yeah.
And I should have measured this out. It's generally, again, it's to taste, but it's also you add the spices together. Without the salt, it doesn't really come together. And I always use sea salt, never the other things. That's a show all by itself,
Right,
really.
yeah. It's a
And
shapes,
then
it looks like.
I use my cowboy spice, cumin powder, just a
Cumin.
touch of it. And then I use some dill weed. And again, a tablespoon or 2 again to taste. It's not a whole bunch. And then once we get this, and then I'll put the sugar in, which I normally don't do it, but we'll whip that into shape there. Now, after you get to this stuff, then it's time to put the other ingredients in. And what we've got green onions, tomatoes, cucumbers, cilantro, and bean sprouts.
Now, are the bean sprouts going to be just on top as kind of like a garnish like this, or are they actually?
I actually mix everything
Mixed
in.
Okay.
Everything in. So, let's see, we got everything. And since we got 1 little piece of lemon, that doesn't hurt anything. This is from the salmon we use. You have a little extra lemon there, so that's not going to hurt a thing. Go like this. Now I'll chop these in. And here's how I cut these Roma tomatoes. I cut them into fourths and just 2, 3, 4.
So it's like dicing them.
Yeah, dicing them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could put it in your little blender thing. That I've done that before too. Some people like to see with our light though, so.
So let's go ahead and after this, we'll just demonstrate one of each of the remaining ones. Then we'll send it to break, and then when they come back, they can see all the vegetables in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
We'll cut the cucumbers the same way. We cut them into 4 pieces like this.
Here, I'll go ahead and get this out of your way here.
I don't cut them all the way through. That's a little trick I learned. Whenever I do this type of thing, I cut it almost down to the end, but not all the way to the end because that holds it
together. That's a really good idea.
And I do the same thing with the tomatoes. And
we're leaving the skin on. Okay.
You want this as healthy as possible.
Yeah, that's where all the vitamins are. It's in the skin.
Yeah, about 80-90% of the vitamins are in the skin.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. And then we'll do this. And then the next thing we're going to add in is the onions. Now some people these are kind of big onions at the end. I decided to I'll use those for something else. When you bite into one of those, it's kind of like biting into a big piece of garlic. That's why I use the garlic press on this. It's
very strong flavor.
There we go. And then we just put this in like that.
And it almost smells like this base is like you made like a vinaigrette over
It is a vinaigrette.
Yeah.
Very simple. And then let's see, we can put in some of these.
Do they need to be cut up at all?
No.
Okay.
Simple.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, first time I ever tasted this spice, I loved it. And some people aren't as crazy about it as I am, but I love cilantro.
I love cilantro too. I used to not, but I gave it a chance and kept trying it, and it's grown on me.
Now there's some spices that smell like black pepper. And oof. Anyway, that's the idea. And then it's good if you can let this go refrigerate it and let it go for about 4 or 5 hours. And then everything blends together, but it just turns out to be. In fact, in this one, I think we might have used a little too much, so I'll just double up that. Here's what happens. We make, I think you can just go 2/3.
Okay.
Like that. Get some more olive oil in there. I wasn't quite sure all the things I was going to have today, so there we go. And put it in. And
Do we need any more of the salt or the turmeric?
no, I don't think so. I think it'll be just fine. And it was more moisture than anything else.
And so let's show the viewers kind of what it's looking like. See right there, it has vegetables just galore. It looks wonderful in that vinaigrette base. So while we finish cutting up whatever vegetables are left and let it kind of just soak in those flavors, let's send it to the trivia answer. Let's see if you got this one right. And welcome back. Did you get it right? I sure hope so. So we are to my final part of the show, the revealing time to show what the meal is going to look like when you serve it up. So Tom, my goodness, this looks outstanding.
Well, thank you. It's a recipe that's been overhauled a little bit, but basically it's really an easy recipe, and I'll have it on your show on your website.
Oh, yes, yeah, definitely. This will be on the website, and then look for it also to be in a cookbook in the future. So let's go ahead and serve this up here.
Okay, looks good.
So I guess I'll just kind of, oh my goodness, look at that. It just cut right through.
Be careful the bones. I try to get as many of them out as I did, but whenever you do this, always be careful the bones too. Boy, that looks great.
Yeah,
that looks fantastic.
I'm kind
Smells
of
great.
draining some of the juice off.
Might be a little too much juice, but it's good for you.
And let's get some of this peel off.
That looks great too. Wow.
All right, and there you go. Doesn't that just make your mouth water? I'm ready to dig in.
Me too.
All right. Well, thanks again for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. I
It was a
hope that-
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh,
Let's
my
do it
goodness.
again sometime.
Likewise.
I'd
Yeah,
love to.
I'd love to have you back
Okay.
on the show, especially to see those famed
Bullwinkle burgers. All right. Very good.
So, as always, keep cooking with Kevin. We'll see you next time.